And welcome back to Pissed Off Politically Speaking right here on the 405 Radio. You can follow me on Twitter at Pops Radio or the network at the 405 Radio. Never a dull moment. It's a good day for Pops Radio today. It's always a good day when you can have your idol from the world of journalism on. He is chief political anchor for Fox News. He has his own show, #1 rated show, Special Report with Bret Baier. He is also going to be the lead moderator for the very anticipated first GOP debate sponsored by Fox News, going to be happening in Cleveland. He's here to talk about it with us, maybe give us a little bit of preview. Bret Baier, thanks for being on.
Sure. Good to be here, Scott.
Well, I'm happy to have you. It's always an honor to have you on. I guess we can't talk about the Fox News debate without wondering if you're going to need a whip and a chair with Donald Trump on the stage. But I know everybody's anticipating it. But it brings a little bit of different dynamic, does it not? I mean, he's kind of the ultimate showman, but I think you can handle it.
Yeah. Listen, we've been thinking about it. I've said in a couple of interviews that I was, waking up in the middle of the night, kind of facetiously joking about that. But we have been thinking about it, of course, because it's a different dynamic. He is not the traditional politician. We've seen on the campaign trail that he doesn't really follow any rules as far as his press conferences, and that is what is refreshing to a lot of people out there, and perhaps that's why he's soaring in the polls. We have, rules that they're going to have to follow, and I assume that Donald Trump's going to fall in with that, and we're going to keep our best to keep everybody on the same page, following the same rules.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, he's not one to really color within the lines, and I think you've already acknowledged on air that this is probably up the audience for this particular debate, which I think is a good thing, from the standpoint of other candidates also being able to get their message out and educate the public about this very important election. And I know you can't forecast, and I'm not asking you to look into a crystal ball, but just as a historical perspective, these debates can also have the effect of, thinning the herd, if you will, and we have 16 people vying for the nomination on the GOP side. And this is the first and early debate. Do you think the potential is there for people to make up their mind this early based on one debate performance? Do you think it could have the effect of thinning the 16 maybe down to less?
Listen, I did moderated 5 primary debates last time, and we did see people rise to the top in various debates. Herman Cain had a really good debate early on, and that propelled him to the lead, if you remember, for some time. Other people had good debates. Other people had poor debates. Rick Perry obviously points back to a debate and the demise of his last run. So I think that debates can matter. I think with this many people in the field, Scott, that people are going to take their time. And, all 16 candidates we're expecting to be on the stage in Cleveland. 10 of them, the top 10 in the primetime 9 to 11 debate, and the bottom 6 with a debate from 5 to 6 Eastern time with Bill Hemmer and Martha McCallum. So we've tried to bend over backwards to accommodate this historic field. And I think that we have, but we wanted to put the best people on the same stage so that they could deal with topics and also deal with each other substantively.
Well, I'm biased towards Fox News and you personally, but I think the panel that you guys have put together in terms of getting to the issues and extracting information that is consumable and will be usable to the American public, I think you couldn't have picked a better panel there, and that's what I'm hoping comes out of this. But you mentioned Rick Perry. I wanted to ask you about him. He was on the 5 yesterday, and I got to tell you, Rick Perry's been my governor here in Texas for 16 years, and I'm a mediocre fan of him. But you mentioned his gaffe that cost him last time around. I thought he did I don't know if you saw it, I thought he did a pretty good performance on the 5 yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, he was also on Center Seat not too long ago on Special Report, and
I saw that.
He performed well. He's clearly, Scott, studying up and has studied up on various issues. He seems more comfortable in his skin. He talks about that. And, whether he can ride a wave and clear a path in this very crowded field that, there's a lot of people that kind of fight for the same quarter of the Republican base, I think is really the question. And I think Iowa is going to be key for him.
Yeah. Well, my prediction is pretty much along what you've said. I don't know that there would be a knockout punch if everybody performs as expected, but I mean, there's always a risk of somebody stepping it in these debates. And I got to tell you, Bret, I watch every Fox News debate you've ever done for the last 10 years. But I would be lying if I didn't tell you this is must-see TV for me this coming Thursday. You're 3.5 days out, and it's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no doubt about that. Just know that we're trying to get to the substance, to the topics, to the interaction, and I think when you come to the end of the debate, just as we're working on it, we're still working on it. I think you'll hear these candidates on the heart of several matters, and it's not going to be all fourth.
Well, and candidly, I think the Americans deserve to find out the substance of Donald Trump's deal. I mean, he's a great soundbite guy, and we all know he's a showman. And I give him props for what he's accomplished. But so far, what I've seen, and he spent a lot of time on Fox's Air with various personalities, his policy part, which I'm interested in you guys getting to, seems to be about a mile wide and an inch deep. But I guess that remains to be seen. But I wanted to move on before we let you go.
We'll see.
Yeah, and I think you're the team to get it out of him, and I think that's going to be a great service to the country. Before we let you go, Bret, I wanted to get your gut on the latest shoe to drop in the Hillary Clinton email saga. It ebbs, it flows, it comes and goes, but I got to tell you, she's taken a toll in the swing state polls. I don't know if Fox News did them or whatever, but it seems to be taking a toll. She's always had high, untrustworthy numbers, but it seems to me that this whole email thing is getting more and more serious. Am I overreading that?
I think so, Scott. I think that a lot of the mainstream media has not picked up on it as much. But there's substance to these questions about classified material in her personal email server. This isn't just Republicans throwing barbs. This is nonpartisan inspectors general writing to the Department of Justice and to Congress saying that they found classified material that was classified when it was generated, not later. And that's a real problem. And the fact that this server has not been turned over to even some independent party to go through, I think, continues to be an issue. Another issue, there's a lot of issues with Hillary Clinton on the trustworthy and honest numbers. Believe it or not, this trailer that came out just last week of 13 Hours, the book about the guys, the CIA contractors on the ground in Benghazi, it's a major motion picture now. And I think that may actually seep into places and people that perhaps the book and the coverage of that whole thing had not.
Well, and for those of you that don't know, Bret did I think it was a 2-part or a 3-part series with that crew called 13 Hours, the operators that were on the ground in Benghazi. And I've got to be honest with you, Bret, that is probably one of the most compelling and almost, to me, heart-wrenching pieces you've ever done.
Yeah, those guys, listen, they're serving America, and they wanted to tell their story, and they've been lambasted by all quarters, but they are, they're really guys that were fighting on the ground to try to save Americans, and I think their story being told in a broad sense where more of America can see it is a great thing, and hopefully the movie's good.
Well, I, like you, think there's more to that story. God knows when we'll find out about it. But, Bret, you've been so generous with your time. I failed to do this, but I'll let you do it now. Tell everybody the times and particulars on the big debate and also your nightly show here.
Out in Cleveland starting on Tuesday, tomorrow, and then I'll be doing a special report out there, actually Tuesday at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which will be kind of interesting. Hadn't been there. Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, actually, the start of Special Report, we will have the official announcement of who the top 10 are on the debate stage. And then Thursday is the debate. 5 to 6, as I mentioned, Eastern time, is Martha and Bill with 6 candidates. And then 9 to 11 Eastern time is the top 10. We'll start about 10 till 9.
And both of those are in Cleveland?
Should be good. In Cleveland, yep.
Okay.
At the on the same stage that the Republican will eventually take the nomination in July.
That's great. That's great. Well, also you can catch Bret every night at 6 o'clock Eastern. Special report. I love the All-Star panel. God, I wish you almost had an hour and a half for your show because it's always informative. And everybody needs to know we still, on our homepage at popsradioshow.com, have a link to Special Heart, Bret Baier's book about his rise in the media and the wonderful outcome and the riveting story of his son Daniel's battle with congenital heart defects. And he is, I got to tell you, I saw some of your vacation pics that you put on Facebook. Those boys are growing up too fast.
Growing like weeds. Yeah, Paul and his journey. Daniel's his little brother, and he's growing too. It's crazy. We just put out the paperback in May, and Scott, thanks for the support. It's been doing great, and we raised a lot of money for pediatric heart research.
You bet, you bet. Well, you can get it. If you hadn't got it, click on the Amazon link at popsradioshow.com, and Bret is donating 100% of his proceeds to pediatric heart research. He's not only a great newsman, he's a great dad and a great human being. Bret, thank you so much for doing this.
Okay, have a good one.
Break a leg, buddy. There you go, folks. Bret Baier, host of Special Report on Fox News. Big debate coming up in 3.5 days. Countdown. Tomorrow he will be in Cleveland with Special Report live from there. We'll have the announcement tomorrow of who made the final 10 cut. And it's news that you can use and news worth listening to. So my sincere thanks to Bret Baier for doing this. This is just an awesome opportunity for our listeners here at the 405 Radio and Pops Radio Show. Always love bringing you thought leaders and those that are timely in the news, and Bret was very gracious to do this with me today. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'll have some final thoughts on the news of the week and the forthcoming debate. Keep it tuned right here. Stay with us. You're listening to Pissed Off Politically Speaking right here on 405 Radio.
Medical Patient Modesty is a 501c3
on the